Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new Airsoft video. Now today we have something slightly different. In the background here we have some never before seen footage from some Milsim and weekend events I've attended in the last few months. And whilst we're taking a look at this, I'm going to try and answer and give some advice on the questions you guys left me in my previous video. Now as well as that, we also have some pure gameplay at the end of this video from the last few stages of Operation Imposing Law, where we were taking over and trying to hold the NATO base. So hopefully you guys are going to enjoy today's video. So before we jump in, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you guys who did leave comments. I got so many that of course we can't go through all of them today. So I've picked out some of my favourites and the more popular ones or the more common questions to hopefully try and help as many of you guys out as I possibly can. So the first question today comes in from a guy simply called Ace, and he asks, what were your first airsoft guns? Now of course, the good side of having an airsoft channel is if you go far enough back through my videos, there is a video for practically every gun I've ever owned. So my first ever airsoft video was actually using a gun that was given to me by a friend, and it was a Frankenstein mixed match gun between a classic Army M4 lower and upper receiver with a 416 rail. Now of course a 416 has a little bit of a rise compared to a standard M4 on the top rail, so to make that flush all the way along the top, the rail was actually on the gun upside down and it was wobbly as hell. But the gun still functioned fine. I think it came in at around 260 FPS, and I was actually running it with real capacity 30 round magazines, so when I first started playing airsoft I was having to do a lot of reloading. Now I actually only used that gun for 2 or 3 games until I got my site membership, which then allowed me to buy my WE 416. Now I ran this gun solidly on the channel for about a year or so, and it was a very reliable piece of kit. I did a few upgrades in that time. I put a maple leaf hot rubber in, a longer tight ball barrel which I ran through the suppressor, and I think I put a higher FPS spring to keep it in around 350 FPS. And I ran that gun week in, week out without any issues for over a year or so, and it still runs perfectly to this day. Now whilst I had the 416, I also bought the Ares AMO 14, or the Honey Badger style weapon, which I have to say out of the box was one of the most impressive performing guns I've ever had, and I always do recommend Ares as a budget or beginner style gun. Now, the only reason I got rid of that, I was no longer impressed or liked the style of the weapon. I was moving towards Milsim at the time, so I wanted to get more of a military realistic style gun. Now at this stage, I also had a gun given to me for a few months by the guys at JDAirsoft, which of course was the Tinywind HPA setup. Now, I did run that for quite some time, which if you do have any interest or questions in, I will leave links to that in the description below. Now after that, myself and the rest of the team all bought ourselves Krytacs. Now these were the CRB or the carbine style gun, and I have to say we all bought them, and within the first 2 months we all got rid of them. I have never been quite so disappointed by the hype of a gun in all my time of playing airsoft. We all thought they were going to be good, and they just weren't, so I really don't recommend Krytac guns to anybody who plays airsoft. And after that, we all moved towards Tokyo Marui, and that's pretty much where we're up to now, and I can't see myself moving away from Tokyo Marui anytime soon. I've got a Tokyo Marui Mark 18, I've got a Tokyo Marui KSG, a Tokyo Marui M&P, and I've got the Tokyo Marui 2017 416 on the way, so everything I now run is Tokyo Marui. They are highly reliable, they have a lot of upgrades available to them, they are very, very fun to use, they have great range, great accuracy, the recoil system is a lot of fun, the bolt stop function is very realistic. So overall, I think Tokyo Maruis are simply the most fun and best AEGs on the market, and I honestly can't see that opinion changing anytime soon. So the next question comes in from TatCat Airsoft, and he says, you have a very fast reaction speed. So my question is, what do you do to train your reflexes and reaction times? Now I wouldn't say in particular I do anything to train it, but by playing a lot of airsoft, especially CQB as often as possible, is of course always going to help with your reaction times. CQB is very fast paced, people come from lots of different angles and directions, you have to be on the ball all the time, locking onto targets as quickly as possible. So by playing a lot of CQB, it will definitely improve your reaction speeds. Now, I do get a lot of comments from guys in my team who make the joke, and people in the comments saying I do seem to have this aimbot quick reaction style, and I will say it's probably down to a few other factors apart from playing a lot of airsoft. I have done a lot of shooting in my time. I used to shoot on a farm a lot, so I am used to doing a lot of rifle shooting, and I used to play PC games, of course, on this channel for a very, very long time, and PC gaming does have a little bit of effect on reaction speed because it is very fast paced. So a mixture of a lot of PC gaming and a lot of real life shooting probably have helped out my reaction speeds and being able to lock onto a target very quickly when playing airsoft. Now the next question today comes in from Eric Carrier, and he asks, what advice would you give about getting into Milsim? Now I have done some videos in the past discussing Milsim kit, things you need to take to a Milsim, especially if you are a new player. and I will leave those linked in the description below. But I would mainly say the best bit of advice, especially for players who do play Airsoft and are looking towards moving into Milsim, is to do with gear. You may have some good gear to play Airsoft, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're equipped for a Milsim. And I don't just mean the equipment you fight in. This isn't me being some kind of elitist saying, oh, you need night vision and a real steel helmet and full cry precision gear. It's also to do with the stuff you live in. Some events will turn you away if you don't have a good sleeping bag, wet weather clothes, stuff to keep you warm, enough food, the right equipment to carry that food, and the rest of your gear. So I'd say moving to a Milsim, if you already do play Airsoft, is about collecting and managing the right equipment to keep you well fed, keep you alive, and keep you dry and warm whilst you play a full weekend event. Now, of course, also having things like night vision and stuff can come later on, but as a new player, just making sure you have the right equipment to keep you warm, dry and comfortable is definitely a necessity. I have played at far too many weekend events where by the end of it we're simply fighting ghosts because too many people have been told to either go home or left of their own accord because they're wet, cold and miserable because they simply haven't brought the right equipment. And that brings me smoothly onto my next question coming in from Matt Greenway, who asks, Matt, what boots do you wear and do you have some for Milsim and some for CQB? Well, to answer the first part of that question, I run the Solomon 3D GTX Comets. They're a very comfortable pair of boots, they're Gore-Tex, they keep my feet dry, they keep my feet warm, and I've worn them for practically days and days in the desert, in the rain, in the cold, in the snow, and they are very, very reliable. I think now Solomon are onto the 4D series of the GTX. They retail for about £110 to £150, and they are very, very reliable. Now, as for wearing the same boots at CQB and Milsim, I did discuss this theory a little bit in my last video that I try and treat skirmish and CQB events as training exercises for larger events like Milsims. I try and run the exact same equipment from the gun setup, plate carrier setup, helmet setup, BDUs, so when I go to these larger events I am very well versed and understand the equipment I am using. And that also includes the boots I am wearing. Of course, with boots, the longer you wear them, the more they wear in and the comfier they become. So if you turn up at a Milsim and wear a brand new pair of boots for 3 days, your feet are not going to like you at the end of that. So if you have a new pair of boots, I would definitely recommend using them a lot at skirmish events to wear them in so they're nice and comfortable when you wear them for days on end at a Milsim event. So the final question today comes in from the Irish Ranger, and he asks, what was your favourite event and what is your favourite site? So my favourite event, of course, has to be Operation Copperhead 2. Nothing has quite been the same as going out to the US, into the New Mexico desert and playing an event. Not only was that a pretty life-changing experience, it was something I probably won't get a chance to do too often. It was also a really well-run event, and for me, of course, coming from the UK, I would never normally get a chance to play in a situation like that. So it was very immersive being out in the desert in that Milsim environment. So that was very, very cool. As for my favourite site, in the UK, I used to be a big fan of Anzio Camp. I thought it used to be great, a lot of opportunity to get great gameplay. It has gone downhill recently because a lot of stuff got dumped there by some criminals, basically dumped a lot of illegal rubbish, which blocked off part of the site. But also it's become very overgrown. You can no longer have clear lines of sight from one building to another, and I think slowly that has deteriorated the style of gameplay when you play at that site. But I am a big fan of sites like Wentworth CQB. That almost feels like a CSGO map. It's 5 buildings in a very small condensed area. I love Senny Bridge Fibua. Of course, I have done a few Milsim series from that site. It's a great site to play at. And I am in the next few weeks playing at Catterick, which is another Fibua site up north in Yorkshire, which I haven't had a chance to play at yet, but I'm hoping I am going to be very pleased with that site as well. So that's all the questions we've got time for today. So if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like, and any other questions you want to see answered in a future Q&A down in the comments below. And I will leave you now with the rest of this pretty intense gameplay from the last section of Operation Imposing Law. But in the meantime, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.
He must be down. He's opened up completely. Yeah, he's dead, he's down. Head just tipped out. This thing is loud without air throwing. Gonna come out of you? Yeah. You see the wooden thing? There's a dead guy there, but there's a guy behind it. Yeah. Yeah, come in, go. Is the gun still up? Yeah.
Okay.
Coming in.
On this bridge.
On the bridge. Okay. Back off or they're going to pyro us. Sorry fellow, getting right behind you. Whoa, come in.
Back to the deck.
Yeah. Do not pop over, you'll take heat. Left side coming around.
We're down the left.
You down? Jay, right in front of you, like 4 feet, there's the other side of that ridge.
Can't see where they're going off.
In the ditch.